If you're struggling to get your paper resources online, you came to the right place. I'm feeling really good today. I'm wearing some swag from the last school I worked at, Dr. E.P. Scarlett. Go Lancers. It's one of my favorite shirts. Anyway, today, if you saw my last video, we talked about the importance of PDF and getting your classroom up and running as quickly as possible. I've got here an old worksheet. By old, I really mean it. This is from 1984, if you can believe that. And I've got a student assignment here that we're going to scan as well. So in this little tutorial here, I'm going to use a very consumer grade, inexpensive printer come scanner, as many people have. And I'm going to just show you some tips and tricks to make this process. You could probably figure this out on your own, but if you do it, if you watch this, I'm going to show you some tricks that will make your life a little bit easier. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to start here by scanning a worksheet that I made a long time ago, and on a Mac this time. And I'm going to go to printers and scanners. Now, obviously your scanner is going to be different than mine, but I'm going to talk about these things in the most general terms possible so that it will apply to any scanner that you're working with here. So I'm going to press scan and open scanner. And it's doing the preview scan. Now, I was helping somebody out the other day, and they had a new scanner, and it was really set up well because when you're working with a scanner, the resolution is really important, and you should always scan at 300. 300 gives you the maximum quality without any extra data. Now, the other thing that you need to know that a lot of these have size on these here. This one is a little bit odd. Say, for example, in this case, it's trying to find where I want to scan. I'm going to scan the whole page. But when it comes to size, normally it's not in pixels or inches or anything like that. It's in percent. Most printers or most scanners, 100% means it's exactly the same size as the original. Okay, so if you were scanning like a postage stamp and you wanted to make it bigger, 200% would make it twice as big. So in this case, this is defaulting essentially to 100%. So I'm just going to press scan here. It's going to scan it to my desktop. Your computer will be different. I don't have to worry about that. I just got it on photo and color, and that's all I need to worry about on something like this. So right now it's scanning the whole document. It'll throw it up on my page or on my desktop here, and I'm going to open it with Photoshop. Okay, so I'm going to close this, and I'm going to right click on this, open with, and I'm going to go Photoshop. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, you can use GIMP. Now, the buttons will be in slightly different places, but you can do the same things. Here's the document, and you can see that I scanned the entire light bed of the scanner, the entire surface of the scanner. And you can see that I don't need the whole thing. And one of the things that I'm going to do here, it's kind of optional, but it's something that I always do, is I'm going to move this into a new document that is exactly 8.5 by 11, so that when kids go to print it, they're not going to have any issues. Now, one of the things I'm going to do here, because this is a worksheet, and I want this to be nice and straight. Mine looks like it's straight. But if I'm going to do something called OCR, which initially you probably are not, you don't care about, but what it does is in Acrobat or your PDF, it actually takes this document. Say, for example, it was created in 1984. The computer that created it is long since gone. The software that created it is long since gone. But I can convert this into something that I can still put into Microsoft Word or anything else I need. So in Photoshop here, there is two kinds of I'm going to go to this guy here, the ruler tool. And the only problem that people find with this particular technique is they can't find the ruler. If you look closely at your toolbar, you'll see that the bottom right-hand corner, in most cases, has this little triangle. That means there's something else hiding it behind it. So if this was set to eyedropper, I wouldn't be able to find my ruler tool. So basically, most people will have this either set to the ruler tool. The other thing they set it to is eyedropper. And you can see that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tools down. So I'm going to select the ruler tool. And the ruler tool is a device for straightening documents. And it can be used for other things too, but I'm just going to draw a line here underneath the text. Then I'm going to zoom in. Okay. And I'm going to put it right under this line of text here. And then I'm going to grab the scroll bar, go over to the other side, make sure it's right under there. So this is going to make sure that my document is dead level. I'll go to image, image rotation, arbitrary. And what it's going to do is to figure out exactly what it has to do to straighten this document. Arbitrary. So it's saying it didn't need a lot of correction. It's 0.04 degrees. I'm going to go, okay. So now it's straight. Now, sometimes when it does this, you'll get some funny colors on the edges of your document. Don't worry about that. It comes it comes from these two colors that are here. Mine are set to the default colors, black and white. So if yours are wonky colors, you just hit this little button here, right here. It doesn't look like a button, but it sets as black and white. So it's perfectly straight now. It doesn't really look any different, but it's perfectly straight now. So now I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going to create a proper letter size document. Create. And I'm going to move this scan into my new document. So I'm going to hit the move tool here and drag it up, and I'm going to press the shift key, and that's going to try and make it straight in here, try and make it level. So, and of course you can move it around a little bit until it sort of fits. If it's an old paper document, you might have to move it around. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove these the hole punches here and remove this text. Now this document was white, and pretty good white. What I mean is the color had not changed significantly, but sometimes you'll see shadows on here, and I'm going to show you how to deal with that. Just imagine here that this document, you can see there's a little tiny shadow here. I'm going to correct that. I'm going to go Image, Adjustments, Levels. And without spending a lot of time in explaining how this works, over here is what it sees as white. And in order to clean this up, all I have to do is change the white point here. I'm just going to drag it in a little bit. And if your text is a little faded, let's say it's not really black, you can take this midpoint, and I don't know if you can see that, but you can see that the text is darkening there. So that can help you if you've got an old document and it didn't really print very well and whatever. This is adjusting the levels, okay? And what this adjustment has done is made sure that this paper is white. So now, if I take an eraser here and I zoom in, you can use the zoom tool without spending a lot of time here. I'm going to take the eraser here, and I'm on the layer of the actual document, not the background. And if I erase this, it erases to white, which is underneath. So it looks perfect. And then I can erase it here. Too bad I didn't save the actual year on here. It would have been probably more dramatic. And because it's erasing to white, that's all I need. There are other techniques for other kinds of things, but in any case, this document is pretty well ready to PDF. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to save it as a PDF. Now, what I might want to do is I might want to save this as a JPEG so that I can come back here and work on it some more anytime. Save it as the original. But I'm going to jump to the process of turning it into a PDF. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to change this to Photoshop PDF. And this is 12th Night. This is for your English types here. And I saved it as 12th Night Worksheet 000 or 001. And so, say for example, if I was working as a JPEG, it would save a copy of it without overwriting the original document. I'm just going to save it as a PDF here. And there's a bunch of options here. I'm just going to run through them here because you don't want to, you shouldn't have to fuss with this. I'm just going to go Save PDF. And I'll go yes. Now I'm going to close this and I'm not going to save it. And on my document or on my desktop, here is my PDF. Now, one of the things about this PDF is I'm going to go File, Get Info. And you can see that it's 5.7 megabytes. This is big. It's too big to, say, email somebody with it. And it's too big, I'm going to say it's too big to put on your classroom on the internet. So what you need to do is compress this. Now, there's two ways to compress this. So in this case, I'm going to open it with Acrobat, which is the program that this is not the free version of Acrobat. There is two versions of Acrobat. There is the free version that your students are going to use to view and print these documents, and then there is the proper version, which gives you options like this to compress it And to do what I'm going to show you in a minute is OCR. And you'll want the OCR. So first off, I could go like this: File, Save As, Other, Reduced File Size PDF. Okay, and I'm just going to hit OK, and I'm going to call this A because I want to show you the difference here. I'm just going to use it in this case. It's going to make a smaller version of this, so it is also on the desktop here. So here is the original, which was 5.7 megabytes. This one where I pressed did the compression on it, and we'll go get info, and we'll see that it is 4 megabytes. Now that is quite a bit smaller, but not small enough. Okay, this is not great. If this was a chart, a handwritten document, this might be all that you need to do. But this is a worksheet, and it really only has, it could be a lot smaller. So let me show you how that works. I'm going to right click in this and open it with Acrobat. Okay, this is the original, okay, not the one that we just compressed, okay? So you don't have to do this twice. In this case, I'm going to OCR it. It says scan and OCR. What it's going to do is convert this into digital type that you could edit in Word or some other way. But it's also going to compress the dickens out of this. So I'm going to hit scan and OCR and press recognize text in this file. Now, already you should be calculating in multiple files. So if you had done a ton of worksheets, instead of taking each one individually and OCRing it, you can do it all at once and go and have a coffee while it's processing. I'm just going to do in this file, and then I'm going to have to press recognize text, and I'm going to go file, save as, and I'm going to call it desktop. I'm going to say go to the desktop, and I'm going to change the name to B because this one has been OCR'd. Okay, so now I'm going to close this, and here is my B. I'm going to right click on this. Remember, it was 5.7, 4 megabytes, and this one, I'm just going to go to get info. Look at this. It's 216 kilobytes. It is tiny. It's going to upload quickly to your D2L shell or whatever else you're using, and you can email it easily. And the other great thing about this, I'm just going to open it with Acrobat, and I can take edit PDF here, and I'm just going to go here. I'm using Acrobat here to do this, but say for example, you can see, whoops, I don't want to add text. I just want to select it. Okay, it's doing a little bit here. So I can actually select this inside Acrobat. Okay, I can also do this. I can just go, oops. I can go Command A or Control A and copy it. Then I can go to a text document like Word or whatever and paste it. Yeah, I'm hoping to paste it. And there we go. And so you can edit it. Now, is it perfect? No, it isn't perfect. And but it gives you a chance to rebuild old worksheets. And of course, it makes it incredibly small. So that's it on worksheets. The next thing I'm going to do is scan a student assignment. Okay, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan a student document, student assignment. And this one is a little different than, the last one is, it's totally, well, it's elementary. It's not 8.5 by 11. There's so many things about this that make it kind of nice to give us a new some new perspectives on scanning. So again, you want to make sure that you scan it to 300 dpi. I'm scanning it in color as a photo, and you can see I've got this detecting box on. I'm going to adjust it. You may or may not have this feature on your scanner. In any case, I'm going to scan the entire, scan the entire bed of the scanner. I'm trying to select this thing. So in case you are, so you can, we're all working from the same place here. So now I'm going to scan it to my desktop. Again, if your scanner has the option of doing some sizing, 100% means that it's exactly the same size as the original. And that's what I'd want in this kind of situation. So I'm scanning it. There it goes. And this assignment by a student, and I really believe in this, is scanning student assignments. So you put it up as a reference, like this is what your assignment could look like, or here's a sample. In this case, now I'm going to scan a second time because this was a little booklet that this student made. So the second, though it's not refreshing here, what the second page is their handwriting on the inside here. And you'll see that in a couple of moments here. So I'm going to go to the first one, the cover, and I'm going to open it with Photoshop. And you can see that it did a really nice job of scanning this. You can see it's not quite straight. And so I'm going to use the ruler tool. Remember, this is the 7th one down. As you saw before, it was sitting at the eyedropper. This little triangle on the bottom here means that there's something hiding underneath here. I'm going to use the ruler tool. And in this case, last time I went horizontally. And one of the cool things about this tool is it doesn't care whether you're going horizontal or vertical. It understands what you're trying to do. So if I go to image, adjust, image rotation arbitrary, it knows that I'm trying to straighten it vertically. So I'm going to go OK. And so now it's straight. And you can see that here, because I have the default colors, pressing this gives me the default black and white, and you can see that the background here is true white and the paper is not quite white. So if I'm concerned about that, I can certainly fix that. I would go image, adjust levels, and by moving this to the left, I can move it until I can perceive that that little line has disappeared. Okay, and of course I don't want to go too far because you'll bleach out all the other stuff in there. And in this case, I don't need to, but if I needed to darken those lines or whatever, I could move this. This is sort of like the mid-gray point, and I'll go OK. And for example, I could put this into an 8.5 by 11. I don't need to. So let's say I wanted to keep it relatively small because it's an image. As far as Acrobat is concerned, this is an image like a photograph. So it's going to be fairly large. So what I can do is I can take the marquee tool, and I could use the crop tool as well. I'm going to use the marquee tool, and then I'll explain a couple of different reasons for doing that. It's already at 100% size. So I'm just looking at this and I'm saying, that's kind of a nice crop of this thing here. And I'm going to go image crop. And now it's the correct, the size that I like. And, sorry. And I'm going to PDF it. And then I'm going to make this a 2-page PDF. Okay, so we're going to cover a number of things. So I'm going to go save as, and I'm going to save it as a Photoshop PDF, and I'm going to put it on my desktop, and I'm going to call it Zoo. Oops, I need to use letters here. Zoo 01, because it's got multiple pages on it. So I'm going to go save and save. Yes, okay. So I'm not going to save a JPEG version of it. You might want to save a JPEG version of it. Now, right now, I'm going to open up the other version of this. Now, it saves it on my desktop as scan 2. Yours probably will do something different. And I want this to be exactly the same size as the other one. Okay, so that presents me with a problem because this scan, I don't know how big it is or whatever. So I'm going to cheat here. I never closed this original scan. I'm just going to drag this one over top of this one here. And you can see, woo, I got a problem here. One of the things that's going on here is and I'm going to throw this in the garbage. And then I'll explain what I did and why I did it here in a second here. So what I did here to fix this drag and drop problem that I had here is I selected everything, select all, okay? And then I copied it, edit, copy, and then I went here to go edit, paste. Now the reason I wanted to do that is because I wanted the same size as that first page of my PDF, okay? So I'm placing it where I think I want it to be. Now this paper on here is not perfectly white, but I don't want it to be perfectly white. I want to capture the way that it looks. So when I go to the image adjustment levels, I'm going to take a different approach. I'm not going to touch this guy right here, because that's going to wash out. Now, there may be a different situation where you want to wash that out and make it black and white, but I just want to save the character. And one of the things I notice here is that the pencil is not very dark. So I'm just going to take this, and what this is doing is darkening up the text in here without touching the color of the paper and without touching the real blacks. I'm going to go OK, and then I'm going to save this as a PDF. It's 2 pages, or like it's 2 layers, but when this goes to PDF, it's going to give me a second page of that same document. So we're going to go File, Save As, and I don't want to save it as a PDF. I'm going to save it as a Photoshop PDF. Here we go. And we already have Zoo 01, so I'm going to select it here. This is just sort of, so I'm going to cheat here so I don't have to retype it here. And Zoo 02 and go Save. Save. Okay, so now I'm going to close Photoshop. I don't need to keep these as original documents, but you know, you could. So I don't save it. And I have now on my desktop the original Zoo PDF and the Zoo 2 PDF. And now I want to convert this into a 2-page PDF. Now there's a variety of different ways to do this. Okay, so if you have a different way of doing it, the end result is going to be exactly the same. So I'm going to go open with Acrobat. Here it is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go under the View menu, Display, Show and Hide, Navigation Panes, and I've got Page Thumbnails. And so I can just drag this in. And if I have multiple pages, 10 pages, I can rearrange them any way I like. Now, when I save this, it's saving it in the best quality at, let's say, the best size. Now, I can't... OCRing it is going to do minimal good here. So I'm going to go File, Save As, Other, Reduce File Size, and it's going to save it as Zoo 01, and I'll go Yes, okay. And I'm going to call it Zoo 01A, because I'm going to do this twice. And I'm just going to show you what would happen if we did the OCR. Okay, so this is 01A. I'm going to close this and I go to 0. Oops. Yeah, I guess I'll 01A. Okay. And I'm going to show you the same thing. But in this case, I'm going to OCR it. Oh, look, it's still got the 2 pages here. So I'm going to go to Scan and OCR it. And I'm going to go Recognize Text. Even though there is really no text in here, I'm going to go Recognize Text. And it tries to process it. And then I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to put it on the desktop, and I'm going to call it Zoo 01B. Now, what Acrobat is trying to do is it's trying to recognize that if there is any text in here, it'll recognize it in OCR. Anything it can't recognize, it's going to process it as if it's a JPEG. So let's see what we get here. There is the Zoo 01A, and I'll go get info. And you can see this is 32 megabytes, which is pretty big. Then I'm going to go to this one, get info, and this one is 900 kilobytes. So despite the fact that it didn't seem logical to scan this for OCR, it made an incredible difference in the size of the document. This would be easily the size that you could email. It's also the size that you could quickly upload it to your website or your D2L shell. And so even though it looks a little crazy as far as technique goes, but it actually works. So the last thing I'm going to mention here is I haven't talked about scanning textbooks. Now, I thank you to everybody who commented and liked my last tutorial. If you want to know how to scan textbooks, that we need to do that as a separate tutorial, because there's some additional tricks that you want to know when you're scanning textbooks. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and stay healthy.